Okay, let's get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining this session at Linaro Connect for yet another TrustedFirmware.org project update. Myself, Shibu Kriakos. I'm joined today by Matteo Carlini. We both chair the Trusted Firmware Project board, and we are also part of the ARM software group. As many of you know, Trusted Firmware is an open governance community project that provides reference secure software for ARM platforms. Today we are going to just cover some of the recent collaborations and milestones that we have achieved in the project. But before we go to those collaborations, we thought it's just worth the first couple of minutes to spend on what's the relevance of a project like TrustedFirmware.org in today's era. TrustedFirmware.org is all about bringing the security experts in the ARM ecosystem under a collaborative platform to build foundational security components. And these security components then that can be deployed on millions of connected devices, and that's how we imagine security can scale in this era where cybersecurity regulations are coming its way. We have heard quite a bit about it in almost all the keynotes this week. So what has been happening? So in the last decade or so, the mainstream media has been reporting various kind of hacks across different segments, whether it's national infrastructure or children's toys. What has happened as an after effect is many people are now aware of the cybersecurity landscape, the threat it poses. And as a ripple effect, many governments have woken up to the reality while that digital revolution can bring about a lot of social and economic benefits. At the same time, it can bring about a lot of threats to its citizens in terms of their privacy and safety. And this is where we can see in many geographies, governments are starting to bring about cybersecurity requirements in terms of regulations. Here I'm listing a few of them. Some of it we have heard in the keynotes, as I said, this week. Europe is taking a forefront in these regulations, starting with the Cyber Resilience Act, which came about in 2022, which talks about covering any product which has got digital elements in it. So it pretty much covers the entire electronics industry, and it's talking about needing software to be updated for a 5-year period. It's talking about conformance requirements depending on the category of devices. UK hasn't stood behind. They have put up a bill in the parliament in the year 2022 called the PSTI bill, which also talks around the same themes around updatability, reporting vulnerabilities, etc. And again, the intention here is you need to have a compliance around your products before you can sell into the UK market. EU Red, another big thing that is coming around summer next year, where EU is coming up with regulations to cover any wirelessly connected devices. On the US side, they've gone with a voluntary labeling scheme, which is again based on the NIST security requirements. What is shown at the bottom is something which is very recent, which has come up from the White House ONCD office, where the office is calling for the entire technical community to come together to actively work on reducing the attack surface. And they're specifically calling on things like memory safety, moving on to memory safe languages, etc. So if you step back and then look at the bigger picture, what is happening is the governments are telling the big technology companies, bigger ecosystem should take bigger responsibilities to safeguard or these digital ecosystem, because these entities can take a leadership role in securing these digital components. Again, if you look at what these regulations are, it boils down to a bunch of requirements. It's all about keeping your software updated, having vulnerability reporting, good crypto, good secure storage, and things like that. And if you overlay that with all the open source projects that TrustedFirmware.org provides, it necessarily meets most of these requirements. Mbed TLS essentially provides a mean to securely communicate. It has got a cryptographic library. MCU boot is something that a lot of devices today use for authenticated secure boot. Then things like updatability, TFA, TFM, they all provide standard interface to keep these devices updated. So essentially what trustedfirmware.org is providing is an economical and a scalable solution for devices to meet many of these upcoming regulations. We can't spend a lot of time on each of these requirements, but updates is one thing that all these devices are going to struggle with, because most of these regulations are having to, is mandating that these devices should be updated for at least a period of 5 years. And this is where trustedfirmware.org has been taking a lead in providing long-term support releases for most of these projects. MAD24 has been doing it for many years. TFA took a lead and started doing long-term support releases from almost 12 to 18 months back. It has been a highly successful collaboration effort. And several other companies have put on maintainers and engineers to actively backport vulnerabilities, errators, bug fixes to live LTS branches. These releases are supposed to be maintained for a period of 5 years, and there's a new LTS coming out every year. And so far we had 22 releases, which itself shows the collaboration and the activity on those LTS branches. And at the end of the day, this is again to reduce the burden for end products to get security updates to their end devices. And today we are glad to announce that we are also launching the Trusted Firmware-M long-term support. So the TFM 2.1 release that happened this week is going to be the first ever long-term support release for TFM. Again, we will maintain these releases for a period of 3 years, and there'll be a new LTS coming out every 18 months. This also includes an LTS version of Mbed TLS, so any crypto security updates also will be included in these long-term support branches. So the development, while the development branches will have releases every 9 months, the live LTS branch, as shown here, will also actively get security and bug fixes. Again, this is meant to be a collaborative effort similar to TFA. What does that mean for PSA certification? So as many of you might already be aware, TFM provides a reference implementation for PSA certification. And today there are hundreds and hundreds of chips that use TFM to get their chips PSA certified. But we have a problem. Today, all these chips are certified on a particular version of TFM that was the latest and greatest at that point in time. And there isn't an efficient way these certificates can be updated to newer versions when there are bug fixes or security fixes in TFM. And we are expecting these LTSs are going to solve that problem in an efficient way. So the LTS branches, when they get bug fixes and security fixes, if they are in the generic portion of TFM, they are going to be certified as a one-off activity with one of the PSA labs, and that can be adopted by all the silicon vendors who have been certified using that branch of LTS. Again, if there are platform-specific fix, the chip vendor can do a delta evaluation of that particular set of patches to update their certificate. So at the end of the day, it would be possible for chip vendors to move to newer versions of TFM LTS with the latest security and bug fixes and keep their PSA certificates up to date. And what that means for end devices, now chip vendors and OEMs are able to ship the latest versions of TFM, again supporting the regulatory requirements that we are starting to see to appear. So again, LTS is one main collaboration that is happening today in TF.org. Another activity that is kicking off as a collaboration in the Trusted Firmware project is around the hybrid platform enablement in TFM. So TFM as a project kicked off providing secure processing environment for microcontrollers or Cortex-M CPUs with Trust Zone. But with the advent of more complicated edge IoT use cases, we are seeing more and more platforms adopting a heterogeneous configuration where even IoT devices are having multiple Cortex-M cores, can be M33s, M55s, or a Cortex-A plus Cortex-M. All these devices are meant to or expecting to use TFM that is running on the Cortex-M secure side as the root of trust. So this brings about some interesting use cases for TFM where traditionally on a microcontroller, you just had a local client on the non-secure side accessing the PSA services. Now you can have a local set of clients and a remote set of clients trying to access the TFM or PSA security services in a simultaneous manner, and there is a set of user scenarios we are trying to address by changing TFM and the secure partition manager to address this use case. And again, this is Arm and a bunch of silicon vendors who are leading these efforts to come up with these scalable solutions. So this is some of the recent collaborations happening. With that, I would hand over to Matteo to talk us through some of the other achievements as well.
Thanks, Shabu. Thanks, everyone. So let's take a step back from all the technical details and have a look at the current roster of the project members. So as you can see, we have three different membership levels, Diamond, Platinum, and General membership. Please do reach out to myself, Shabu, or Don Harbin at the bottom of the room, which is our community manager. We have also a running partnership with Bugseng. We are very pleased today to announce that we have a new member that fills a gap there at the bottom right. We are very happy to welcome Prove and Run as part of the TrustedFirmware.org family. Prove and Run is a company that provides extensive expertise in building secure software solutions for the ARM ecosystem. Sadly, they couldn't make the conference today, so they are not around, but they are part of the PSA certified consortium, so they help defining and writing, so they are authoring the documents for the PSA certified scheme. So there are definitely opportunities to collaborate with them in these forums. Now, Trusted Firmware is a family. It has multiple projects in it. It's not just TFA or TFM. So we just wanted to give an overview on what has happening in the past 12 months since the last time we spoke to you, that was in London last year, on the other projects part of the family. So let's start with MAD24, which is the first project, as Shabu mentioned, that launched the LTS concept in TF.org. So MAD24 has now released a 3.6 LTS release, which is a big achievement, and they are on to release a 4.0, a major 4.0 release. There is also a work ongoing to try and separate the PSA crypto APIs from the MAD24 code base, because at the moment they are all merged in together. So there will be a new Git repository hosting separately the PSA crypto APIs, and so separating them from the MAD24 implementation itself. Then we've got Hafnium, which is our reference implementation for a secure partition manager. So recently Hafnium released, together with TFA, the major 2.10 release, which adds almost complete support for the FFA 1.2 version of the ARM specification. It adds support for the new Armv9 architectural feature SME, so the scalable metric extensions, for it to be used in trust zone software through Hafnium. And upcoming features are the implementation of secure timer virtualization and what is called live activation of firmware update. So the possibility to do firmware update, which is very important, as Shabu was mentioning, but without rebooting the system, so without the need of restarting the entire firmware stack. Moving on, we've got the RMM or TF-RMM, which is the open source reference implementation of the Real Management Monitor, part of the ARM confidential compute architecture. TF-RMM has now reached maturity against the RMM 1.0 version of the spec, which, if you follow a bit the evolution, has gone through 5 revisions of EACs. So this is the final EAC revision of the 1.0 version of the spec. TF-RMM is now fully compliant with that. If you're interested in it, please do come tomorrow. Dan is going to present all the evolutions of the confidential compute architecture on the ARM open source projects as well. Next we have MCU boot, bootloader for the M-class architecture. 2 major releases. 2.0 has been released a few months ago. I had 2.1 as an upcoming release, but actually I checked, it came out last week. So big achievement for MCU boot as well. 2 major releases out. Trusted Services released their first 1.0 major release tagged in the repo. And it keeps working on PSA services for the full set of Cortex-A devices. As upcoming and new feature developments, there will be updates as part of the embeddTLS library as well. Last but not the least, Trusted Firmware has invested a lot in an OpenCI system and infrastructure. So as part of it, we have now running, that's the collaboration with Bugseng. So we have MISRA checker running live against every commit for TFA and TFM now. This is fully working on the OpenCI system. We have more than 5 million tests executed every year as part of the OpenCI infrastructure. And we have 12 members platforms which are enabled and continuously tested as well online on the CI system. Future evolutions of OpenCI, adding new projects which are currently not in the CI loop. The first ones that we are going to target is the TFRMM and the Trusted Services project. I'm deliberately not mentioning OPT here. OPT is another project absolutely part of the family. Joachim has gave a great overview of the 10th anniversary celebration for OPT on Tuesday, and I believe there is another talk by Etienne on Friday about evolutions on OPT as well. So let's move on to the last project remaining, which is TFA, Trusted Firmware-A. And we are very happy to celebrate the 10th anniversary as well of TFA today at Linaro Connect. Linaro Connect has always been the go-to point for TFA. It was announced in October 2013 at the Linaro Connect in the US. I think it was in Santa Clara. I wasn't there. The first commit reads October 23. So it's a bit more than 10 years, but this is the first Connect where we can effectively celebrate together. I'm not going to do a full history, just to say, fast forward 5 years in Vancouver, 2018, we announced the creation of the Trusted Firmware.org project, and we also launched TFM. So TFM and TFA were the original projects, part of the TF.org family, and we presented the first cake for celebrating the 5th anniversary of TFA. And from that point onwards, kind of became a tradition. So 5 years down the line again, last year in London, we celebrated 5 years of life of TFM. So stay with us till the end of the presentation, because guess what? There will be a surprise. Let's have a look first, though, about the collaboration in action in these 10 years of life of TFA, because it's really a good example on how the community work can help, collaboratively for the full ecosystem. So top right, I had some pie charts that were presented 5 years ago about the number of commits coming from the ARM ecosystem in yellow versus blue or light blue were the ARM contributions. So clearly, in the first years of the project, the project was maturing and the contributions were low, and then they started to pick up to 1/3 of the contributions coming from the ecosystem in 2018. Now we moved the way we track contributions per release. So we have contribution statistics for every major release of TFA. And these are the statistics for the last 3 major releases. So there is an outstanding half of the contributions, more than 50% on average, coming from the ecosystem partners and not from ARM. Just worth calling out, as every project do, the kernel does it, why not? The top contributors companies beyond ARM, so you can see there are big names on it. This is just a snapshot. These are the top 10 contributors, which are coming from, as you can see, all different segments, because TFA is deployed across all really segments. Please indulge with me another bit on statistics. So these are the top contributors, but effectively we've got more than 70 companies contributing to the project and counting, with an outstanding number of 650 individual contributors to the project over time. Shebu spoiled me the news on the LTSs. 2 major LTS releases are live and supported for 5 years, with 22 minor bug fix releases, which we are performing. We got 87 maintainers live in the project across the entire ecosystem, right? Overall, we've done 21 official releases, and we've got more than 80 partner platforms supported upstream. So real silicon supported upstream in TFA by our partners. Last number, 15,000 number of total commits, which if you do a bit of maths, it goes down to 6 commit committed per every single day continuously for 10 years, right? So it's quite a continuous history of collaboration and success. So well done, TFA. We're very happy. Other projects and other pointers that I want to make, like I said, OPT, please attend tomorrow's session about the new device drivers. We've got one of our senior engineers for TFA talking about the recent implementation in TFA. Manish is here right after this session or the coffee break. We've got enablements in the DICE and DPE space for Android by another colleague of ours, Tamas, on Friday, I believe. And then, like I said, Dan presenting confidential compute updates again on Friday. And now, folks, the moments you've all been waiting for. Just one last word before going and eating the cake. Dawn, our community manager, has organized a meet and greet. So an open session in which everyone can come. Shabu, I, and Dawn will be there. So will be the TFA maintainers present here. We will be downstairs in the first floor between 4:45 and 5:30 in the MR1 tech room. And that is it for now. I hope you don't have any questions because I'm hungry and I want the cake. Questions? Thank you all.